could I call the trustees to order, please? Now I'll call the meeting order and ask you to stand with us for the national anthem.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la
Première Nation de New Credit.
Thank you. Good evening. I have no regrets this evening. Everybody's here, including Trustee B. McDonald, who's coming to us live from the internet. I do have one change to the agenda, that's not change, addition. 7.1, that is a request to delegate. Pam Wilkinson is here with some people to talk to us about flying the flags of Canada, Ontario. Trustee DeCrube.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to withdraw 9.3.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other additions, changes, comments about the agenda? Seeing none, Trustee Crocker, will you move approval? Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Andrews. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll move then to our minutes section, section 3. We only have one item. 3.2 is the regular meeting of the board, August 28th. Trustee Cameron, will you put that on the floor, please? Seconded by Trustee Green. Are there any comments, changes, omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Are there any written questions, notices of motion, or petitions from trustees? Excuse me, Trustee Singh.
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to raise these questions on part of a constituent in my area. It's a two-part question. So the first is there swimming included in our curriculum? If not, is there any reason as to why or why not? And lastly, is there an opportunity to learn swimming in our schools? And then, is it paid? That's the parents' question.
Trustee Singh, I'm just curious, I missed the first part. Is there, what in our
Swimming included in our curriculum.
Swimming?
Yeah, swimming. The parent was concerned that our children aren't given an opportunity to swim.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So you'll hand that question in and
Yeah,
we'll have
I
a
will
response.
forward it to Peter,
Okay,
Dr. Joshua.
Thank you. Are there any other written questions, notices of motion, or petitions from trustees? Seeing none, then can we move to section 6? One item 6.1, which are the retirements. Moved by Trustee Lawton, seconded by Trustee Williams. Are there any comments? For approval, or for receipt rather. All those in favor? Carried. We are moving to our delegations, and so I would ask Ms. Wilkinson, if you're here this evening, if you'd come to our podium, please. Terrific. Welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Pam Wilkinson. It's an honor to be here this evening to address this group of people, this assembly. I come to you on behalf and speak not just for myself, but for a group of delegates that is here. I'll just ask them to stand briefly just so you can see who they are. Thank you very much. I speak also on behalf of the roughly 3,000 people that have signed the signed the petition that I bring to you today. I'm going to start off this presentation by reading the petition to you so you'll understand what these people are saying to this school board. I understand that the Peel District School Board is establishing a committee to change the present policy with respect to other flags being flown at our schools. I want to let it be known that I disagree. The present policy of only the Canadian and Ontario flags being flown at our schools should remain the same. These flags embody everyone. And again, we have roughly 3,000 signatures on that. When we first offered this petition at our first location, a couple of us come from the same church. We decided we knew people were upset about this decision. We decided, let's put a petition out, let's see if we get any kind of response to it. You never know what you're going to get, right? Maybe people will care enough to sign, maybe they won't. We were blown away. We had 3 petition tables set up. We ran out of pens, we ran out of petitions. People were coming up, they swarmed the tables. People stood there for 25 minutes, half an hour to have the opportunity to sign it. People came up and asked us for blank copies of the petition so they could take them to their workplaces, so they could take them to their families and their neighborhoods and their gyms. People from all different religious groups, walks of life have signed it, all feeling very strongly about it. People came back with pages of petitions signed that they got done on their own. We ended up going to 11 locations in total, and every single location had the same response. There was a church in Mississauga where people were lined up down the sidewalk and through the parking lot to sign the petition, waiting in lines. It was that important to people of Peel Region. Why did we do this petition in the first place? We did it because we're residents of Peel Region and we believe that this is an amazing place to live. We ourselves have lived here for 19 years. We're raising our kids here. We love the diversity here. We think our kids are better for having grown up here. They have friends from every faith community, from every ethnic background imaginable, and I think that's awesome. I think they are better citizens of the world for having grown up in Peel Region. Our greatest strength is our diversity, but I think that the greatest risk factor we also have is our diversity, because the world is a really divided place, isn't it? I don't think in my whole lifetime I've seen the world more divided across endless numbers of fault lines than it is right now. I've never seen the political left and right further apart, chasms between, furious at each other. Have we ever seen the United States more divided along racial lines and along political lines? We are seeing conservatives and social justice warriors that can't even have a civil conversation about anything. It is ugly beyond words. Conflicts all over the world and migrants fleeing and coming here to start a new life. I don't think the world has ever had more factions and divisions than we're seeing in it right now. And the thing is that all of those factions and divisions and life experiences and conflicts all over the world are reflected by all the diversity that we see here in Peel. People bring all of that with them when they come here, and we're 50% first-generation immigrants in this region. So all of those conflicts, all of those fault lines in the world are also here. So we have peace on the surface, but we have the potential for great division underneath. And I think what's really amazing is, although people have a natural tendency to segregate into the communities that are easiest for them to connect to, I think the public school board is such an important and powerful institution in that, because it is the only place that brings all those communities together. Because kids come from all those communities where they normally wouldn't necessarily have any connection to each other, and they come into a public school setting where they can have relationships with each other. And the reality is that relationships is how you breed dialogue and understanding and empathy and the finding of common ground. It's harder to dislike a person that you know than to dislike a group or an idea. But this can't be forced, can it? It has to be organic. It has to grow out of natural relationships, and that's what the school board, the public school board, offers like no place else. The school board is the builder of impossible bridges of peace, but this only works if the school board stays neutral. When I was in Teachers College, I worked with a teacher who had a lot of experience, and he said something to me that I've never forgotten. He said that a teacher must be incredibly moderate in their positions because the classroom is so diverse. And I thought that was so wise that it stuck with me all these years later, that that's really important. And I think that's important for the school board as well, not just for individual educators in classrooms. If the school board as an entity, as an institution, wades into issues that are hot button issues, that are highly divisive in the community, if it takes sides and uses its power to affirm one side while ignoring or attacking another, that prevents the school board from being the vehicle of peace that it's capable of being. It's an unfair use of power. And I think it also represents us as an organization, and I say us because I work for the board. I think it means that we've forgotten who we are as an organization. School boards are not like a force of nature that exists the way gravity does. We exist because the people will it, because it is a value for people to have their children educated. If that wasn't a value in the population, school boards wouldn't exist at all. We exist because the people will it. And people are willing, because that's important to them, to pay out of their pockets to build this building and pay all of our salaries and build every school, pay for every desk, every pencil, every flag, and every pole. They deserve respect for that, even though they come from diverse backgrounds and worldview positions. I think it's important for us as an organization to remember how important we are to the unity of the community and the peace of the community, but also to remember that we are community. We are an organization of public servants that have the honor of serving the families that pay the bills, whose children are the most precious thing to them ever, and they've been entrusted to us to educate. The decision to fly flags that represent factions in our potentially very divided community is a dangerous one, because it doesn't reflect everybody's views. It only reflects the views of factions within the community. And every flag that we put up on our public school flagpoles, while it might be meant for inclusion, what it says to the community is, we as an organization that you pay for, that you've entrusted your children to, we support that group, or that group, or that group. And every flag has people that will love that flag, and every flag has people that will resent that flag. Why would we do that as an organization? Diplomats of the world have trouble navigating these things, don't they? Because flags are powerful. They aren't just pieces of cloth. They represent worldviews and truth claims. They represent moral positions, historic events, religions, and cultures. Wars are fought over these things. Professionals can't manage it. How will we manage it as a school board? Do we even understand the worldviews and the complexity of those worldviews that are represented by everybody in this region? We've only raised one flag so far as part of this new policy, and that's the pride flag that was raised in June. And I believe that the motives on the part of the school board were good on that. I understand that some young people came in that were part of the LGBTQ community and shared some of the things that they've been through and some of the struggles that they have, and feeling picked on and bullied. And I know that that's a terrible thing. And let me make it clear that the faith communities of Peel Region don't think that's funny either. They don't think that's right either. But here's the thing. How does flying a flag make someone safe? How does it make someone safe? Were the LGBTQ kids safer on June the 1st than they were on the 31st of May? I don't think that was achieved, but there are things that were achieved that aren't good. The pride flag only represents the worldviews of some, and it stands in direct opposition to the views of many others, including many faith communities across this region. And by the way, this region is 87% theistic. Only 13% of the people in this region claim to have no religious affiliation. 87% are theistic here. And the rights of all of those groups are represented in the exact same sentence of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. When the pride flag went up, the LGBTQ community felt affirmed and supported and cared about, but faith communities felt betrayed and disrespected and misunderstood. Across this region, it went beyond that. In my child's school, for example, her middle school, it wasn't just a flag that was flown. Kids were taken without parental consent against their own will to pride ceremonies at the flagpole. They were told they had to stand for the pride flag. And at the end of the assembly, a song was played that openly attacked Christianity and the Bible in a public school setting. Now I ask you, do you think these actions made things better between the sides on this issue? as we try to learn in the new realities of our country how to live together, how to understand each other, do you think this made things better? When you make people feel disrespected, you build walls, not bridges. What will be the next outraged group? It depends what flag you fly. Every flag, except the Canadian flag, will outrage somebody and make somebody happy. You cannot get groups to respect each other this way. You cannot build dialogue and tolerance through coercion and perceived disrespect. That's just human nature. It doesn't work that way. You cannot broker peace if half the stakeholders have left the table in anger. So in conclusion, I would like to say the decision to fly flags that represent factions in our community is a dangerous one. It's a divisive one in a region that has the potential to be very divided. You are the leaders who have made this decision are responsible for the results of the decision. I ask you to take a big picture view. I ask you to stand back and consider everybody's feelings and everybody's concerns. I ask you to build bridges, not walls. The world needs more dialogue and understanding, not more division. Please just let the flagpole represent everyone, as it has always done, by flying the flag of Canada and the flag of Ontario. We ask you to reconsider the decision to open up the flagpole to other flags. You are needlessly opening a massive and divisive can of worms in our region that will accomplish much that is bad, very little that's good, and nothing that couldn't be accomplished in less divisive ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, and if you'll just wait one moment, I'll see if there are any trustees who have questions or clarification. And I see none at the moment, so we will respond to your delegation at our next board meeting, which is, see, nobody knows, 24th of September.
Okay,
and
thank you.
so, and if you have no, I see that you have your
Petitions, yes.
the petition. That's great,
Yes.
and your notes from your presentation would be helpful.
Sure,
for us
and
to
I actually emailed those to Janice Mueller, so I don't know if you want
Great.
those ones or if you want me to send a fresh copy. I did modify a little bit to stay within the time.
Janice has them. Then you have them. You don't know.
I can send them
So
again.
you can send them again, or you can give
That's no
them the
problem.
copy that you have with
Sure,
you
it's kind of got
tonight.
pen on it, so I'll send a fresh one that's cleaner.
Quite all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you give the petitions to Janice, that'd be great. Okay. If we can move on, we have no more delegations. So on to Section 9. 9.2 is a notice of motion from Vice Chair Trustee Nurse regarding the hiring of an integrity commissioner for Peel. And Trustee Nurse, you have the floor.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, and just for the record, I'll read the motion again. Whereas elected officials must maintain high standards of ethical behavior as outlined in their code of conduct in order to be an effective and credible governing body. Whereas the cities of Mississauga and Brampton, the town of Caledon, as well as other school boards employ the services of an integrity commissioner to both advise elected officials on their obligations and responsibilities under the code of conduct and investigate complaints on alleged breaches of their code of conduct. Therefore, be it resolved that the Peel District School begin the process of hiring an integrity commissioner with the intended engagement date of no later than December 31st, 2018. So again, thank you, Madam Chair, and I also want to thank my colleagues who connected with me to speak a little bit more about this, because your questions actually helped me phrase some of my comments for tonight. Our constituents' perception of ethical decision-making is critical to our reputation and the level of public trust. In order for our governance structure to be effective, our constituents must have confidence that we, their elected representatives, are operating with the highest degree of ethics and integrity. I know we as a Board of Trustees here in Peel strive to do that each and every day. Establishing the Office of the Integrity Commissioner will call us all to an even higher level of accountability and transparency. As mentioned in the motion, we have examples with the TDSB, the first public board to go this route in 2016, the York Public Board, and of course, the cities of Mississauga, Brampton, and the town of Caledon. These organizations are using the Integrity Commissioner in an advisory role on situations elected officials face in their exercise of their duties. Also an investigative role for individuals who have complaints about potential breaches of their code of conduct. But most importantly, they also use the integrity commissioners in an educational role so that officials are always learning about best practices and effective governments. The appointment of an integrity commissioner will not prevent or constrain us from doing what's right and be the most effective at delivering the best educational outcomes for appeal students and their families. On the contrary, I believe it will enhance it. I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Yes. Trustee Williams. Thank you. So speaking to the motion, Trustee DeCroop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to thank Vice Chair Nurse for putting this forward. I think this is really important, and I'm happy to support it. I do have a couple of questions of clarification. I think I have an understanding of how this would work, but I just for the record, and to make things clearer, this person, if we were to hire an integrity commissioner, that person would not be an employee of the Peel District School Board. Is that correct?
That's, well, yeah, you might as well keep your mic on.
Yes, I should keep it. You are absolutely right. They will not be an employee. They'll be independent of the board.
Mm-hmm. So just so I have an idea of what that would look like. So this person would be working at a firm, or like, how does it actually look like in practicality, in practical terms?
I think we've talked about it, and it would be similar to the way we secure
Our audit.
our legal services.
Absolutely.
In other words, we hire an organization, in that case a law firm, but we would hire a firm that deals with integrity commission, and then we would hire them on a needs basis.
But are there a lot of firms that do integrity commissioner work?
It seems to actually be a growing field, it seems to be a growing field, which is actually has its positive and negatives. But as I said, we've got all our municipalities here in Peel that employ, and they employ different ones, and the Toronto board and the York board, just to name a few. And they're all using different individuals, so there are definitely people out there who do this.
Okay, it's definitely something I'm very supportive of. I think it's very important. It's always good to have an opportunity to get a clear and objective perspective when we have questions, and there's always issues that come across, and they're gray areas, and you kind of would like some advice to shape a better position. So I'm very supportive of this, and I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Trustee Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to say that
Oh, sorry, Brad. Okay, I'll come to you. Just a minute, please. Trustee Williams has the floor.
just to say that I'm
then I'll
very
come to you.
supportive of it. I do believe that the integrity of the board is critical to its success going forward, and the services this commissioner will provide will help this board to stay on track and continue to do the good work that we've been doing over the years. So I'm very much in support of it.
Thank you. Trustee B. McDonald? Brad? Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. First of all, I really, I've been asked or saying to our trusted colleagues that this is something I want, not just an integrity commissioner. I think we also cannot go without a code of conduct. I think that's a very important thing that we need in today's society, and especially the management boards. We've seen how other boards have run into problems, and I think this is a way to educate people on how the norm of operation should be, as well as to keep people on track of doing the business of what we're here to do is support our kids. My only concern about the motion is that it starts the Peel board beginning process of hiring. So I'm curious, does this mean the trusts are part of this hiring process, or is it the director taking on this role? Because I think it's very important that we, as trustees, be part of this process.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, certainly.
So in my research, thank you, Trustee Big McDonald. In my research with both the Toronto Board and the York Board, absolutely. The trustees were definitely involved in the entire process, from, of course, putting the motion on the floor to actually securing the position of that individual.
So, Trustee McDonald?
So I assume that means we would be part of that interviewing process when we say, you know, let's go out and do RFPs for various tenders, legal company representation that would do this, that we would be part of that interviewing process, but also before that set up the criteria and all that kind of process to establish the right criteria for which we're going to hire someone.
Yes.
That's Vice Chair Nurse's intention. That's correct.
Perfect, and if that's the intention, then I can fully support this, because I think, as I said, this is something I've been talking to fellow colleagues here at the board table, and I think it's very important for us to maintain a high standard of our work and support of our students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions from trustees? Trustee Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I promised that I wasn't going to say nothing, but definitely I just want to put it out there. That is something that I think that is long and dear coming to this board, because I believe that this will help the board in terms of us going forward and our transparency, accountability, and integrity of this board, to make sure that those standards that we are accustomed to as a board are stay in place, and that we are focused and driven and focused on student success. Now, you know, when you look at it as a trustees, as a board of trustees, even if there's an issue on our community or parents, say for instance with trustees, we govern ourselves, literally you have to say, and there's no alternative for our community or our parents to go to. So I think this is a good move. I think the timing could never be more right. So I'm 110% in support of this. So thank you.
Okay, and anybody else? Oh, yes. Trustee Lawton.
Thank you. Through you, Chair McDougall, I would like to say that I absolutely support this motion as well. I'm glad to see that it will be based on our code of conduct and the criteria established by a committee involving trustees. Just from a process perspective, the hiring will be done through an RFP.
That, again, based on my research, it would be.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I was just checking my calendar, and I believe, if I'm right, October the 1st, we have a trustee information session, which we'll be talking about code of conduct, and in fact, we have an external facilitator who's going to come in and talk to us about that. So I think that's a good start on developing a new code of conduct. And then we can, of course, work with anyone we hire if the board chooses to go with hiring an integrity commissioner. So I have no others. So Trustee Nurse, you wish to close debate?
Just to say that I appreciate the comments from my trustee colleagues. I think most importantly, if this is approved tonight, that our communities, our families will appreciate this added level of accountability, respectability, and transparency, which can only lead towards a better representation for all our students. Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion is on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Opposed? It's carried. If you push your button, yes.
Thank you. I was just wondering, since it involves hiring, wasn't that something that we should be a recorded vote, since we're involved hiring of someone?
No, we don't need we need recorded votes on contracts and things, but not when we hire for a new position.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on then. That was 9.2. 9.3, 9.4 is a proposal. I think this is the first time that we have looked at designating a day to recognize the important work that our principals and vice principals do within our system. It's suggested that it be October 10th, and it is here for approval. Anybody like to put that on the floor for me? Trustee Lawton, seconded by Trustee Green. Are there questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. I won't even ask you if you're opposed. How's that? 10.1 is the September elementary enrollment report. Mr. Wright, you have some information for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. As is the board's practice, I am reporting tonight the first week September elementary enrollment. And as of September 10th, 2018, the Peel District School Board had 114,771 elementary students, as I said, after the first week of school, 2018. This represents a growth of 897 elementary students from the first week of school, September 2017, and the first week of school, September 2018. The board may recall elementary student enrollment growth grew by 742 students last year, which compares favorably to our growth this year at a rate of 0.79 against last year's of 0.66%. This week's first week of September enrollment will be verified, and a written report will be brought along with the secondary enrollment numbers to the regular meeting of the board September 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that oral report? Great. Okay. Trustee Crocker, will you move that oral report? Trustee Singh, will you second it? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Wright. 12.2 is a letter to the parents regarding the Peel District School Board's duty to report to the Children's Aid Society. This is an annual letter, and it is a legal mandate. Trustee Andrews, you want to put that on the floor for me? Thank you. Seconded by Trustee McDonald, Kay McDonald. Are there any questions or comments about this letter? All those in favor? Carried. 14.1 is the response to Trustee Kay McDonald's question regarding Vice Principal Teaching Assistants and Behavioral Teaching Assistant allocations. Trustee McDonald, you wish to comment? Put it on the floor?
Thank you. So I'll put it on the floor and comment, yeah?
I'll turn your mic on if you push your button.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yep. See it.
Thank you. So I'd just like to thank Associate Director Wendy Dowling and the team that put this report together. But as a result of the busyness of the startup season, I didn't have an opportunity to speak to various staff members that I wanted to. So I guess I have a few questions and concerns regarding the report, especially around the where discretion exists that was used in the summary. I am acutely aware that equity and equality, that they're not the same thing, and I have grave concerns about the safety and mental well-being of VPs, TAs, and BTAs, and I fear that we're putting staff and student safety at risk based on our current allocation model, because, I have some concerns, but I will follow up in a discussion, and at the next meeting, I will have more to say about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Put it on the floor, seconded by Trustee DeCruz. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any reports from trustee representatives on councils or associations? Waiting for student trustees to push their button. You have to push your button. There we are. Trustee Choncrian.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Through you, Madam Chair, Laura and I are so very excited to be able to represent student voice and serve the students of the Peel Board. We are also looking forward to working with the rest of the board and our constituents. We've come to a time where elections are just around the corner, as well as a time where a number of changes are to be made to our education system. And it is so very important for us all to remember that no matter where the wind blows us, our students will always be in our best interests and our student bodies will always be the best represented. As it is said so wonderfully here at the board, we strive to inspire success, confidence, and hope in every child. Once again, on behalf of Laura and I, we'd like to emphasize how important a united front would be in the near future and how thankful we are to be working together to ensure it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Terrific. Any comments regarding that? Okay. Are there any other? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to question period. I'll start over here with Trustee Crocker. Question. Sir.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a question so much as a comment, which I hope isn't too lengthy. And it has to do with busing, about which I have heard a great deal in the last couple of weeks, and I know that other trustees have as well. And I want to make it clear that I think that everybody in this room is doing their very best when it comes to student transportation, but somebody's letting us down very badly. I go back to the 1950s as a student, to the 70s as a teacher, and more recently as a trustee. And it's been my observation that every Labor Day Tuesday, the schools are ready. The office staff has started preparing for the first day of school back in June. The custodial staff starts moving furniture and stripping floors while in high schools anyway, when the kids are still writing exams, and in the last week of August it looks like it can't possibly be ready for the first week in September, and it always is. Always. That's our custodial staff. The guidance peoples, the school administrators are in their schools before Labor Day, making sure that everything's ready. There's never been a kid look to see 9C and there's no class there because the guidance didn't get to that one. That's not what happens in schools. 9A, 9B, 9C, 9D, there's a class list there. They know who their homeroom teacher is and all the rest. The teachers have their lessons ready. They write their names on the blackboard, the course code and all that. Time-honored tradition. Now, if any of those people were late 15 minutes, a half hour, 45 minutes, consistently for the first week of work, they'd be in the principal's office or in their supervisor's office and being asked, do you like working here? But they're always there. Parents and families are always ready for the first day of school. New backpacks, new pens, new clothes, new attitude. There's a lot of optimism around the first day of school. Everybody's ready for the first day of school, except the bus companies. And it's not fair, and it's not right to working parents who are consistently late to work, in some cases who are losing pay, who are in trouble with their employers because they're putting their families first. It's not fair to children and their families who are anxious about the impact of their lateness on their academic record. It's not fair to students who are deprived, again, of the 15, the 20 minutes, the 30 minutes, the 45 minutes or longer of instruction every day. It's not fair to school administrators and teachers who scramble to re-timetable so that the kids aren't missing the same class every day because of a late bus. It's not fair to special education students and their families who already have enough to bear. And yet we don't seem to have done anything special in transportation for our special education students and their families. It's not fair to administrators who stay late looking after other people's kids when they have their own kids at home and they have their own lives. And the school day doesn't start later the following day because they worked late the night before. This is particularly true of single administration schools. It's not fair to taxpayers who are paying big money for services not rendered. So Chair, in conclusion, it's not fair and it's not right that we can't get our buses running on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald, question or comment? Thank you.
Thank you. First, I forgot to mention, with regards to the report that I just got, that also I was concerned for principals, especially or single administration. And last week, I forgot to publicly thank John Hartzman. Just like to thank you, John, for the yeoman's work that you did over the summer. I really appreciated that. And when, especially, you know, as I was walking and visiting my schools, the staff, the students, the families, they were just so amazed. So thank you for that. And also, I just wanted to publicly mention too, Joe, like all our custodians do amazing work, but I was just so just blown away by Joe when I stepped into his school, and literally the floors were like mirrors. And it was just astounding, just seeing the difference in the school. And when you couple that with your wonderful renovations, you know, it was just amazing. Also, I have a question regarding the community hub use of schools. So I was just wondering if the board's position has changed with regards to that, as I, over the holidays, got several complaints, including a seniors group, with regards to use of schools. So I just wanted to raise that.
If we've changed our position on community hubs?
Yeah.
I don't recall any conversation about that, correct?
No.
But maybe you could ask that privately of Director Joshua. Maybe he could sort that out for you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Trustee Williams, question? Trustee Singh? Trustee Green?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is a question that I was asked by several community members and some coaches to ask this question publicly. And it's around renting our school in terms of the type of sports that we rent our schools for. I was approached over the summer and even up until yesterday by a number of coaches who coaches a wrestling team and who has team and been renting our school after school hours to run these programs for many years, and now has been told that the school board will no longer rent their schools to any sports that deemed to be high risk. The question is that if these organization has their own liability insurance, why is the school board refusing to rent the school that we can continue, that these people can continue their program that they have been running for years and has been successful, and also which some of these programs are engaged a lot of at-risk youths who may not have anything or would be involved in any other sports after school hours. So I'm just hoping, I'm not going to ask you to respond to that right now, but I was asked to ask it in opening, and then I'm hoping that somebody can get back to me that I can address this with the group that has been coming after me. Thank you.
I think we can do that. Thank you. Trustee B. McDonald, question? Brad?
No, thank you.
No question. Okay. Student trustee Chonkryan, question? No. Student trustee Oris Nadanova? No. Trustee DeKroop, comment or question?
Thank you. I would like to just echo the concerns that Trustee Crocker outlined around transportation and busing. I too have been receiving calls about that as well. I'm not going to say it as eloquently as he did. You did put it very, very well, but it is concerning, and it's unfortunate that this is something that's been happening again, and I know that we're trying really hard to find a solution that will serve the community and that will be a permanent solution. And I understand the challenges. We've talked about a lot of the challenges for many hours, and I'm hopeful that we will continue to work towards finding an alternative way to resolve the issue, but I just wanted to echo the concern because he's right, it's not fair. It's not fair for all the people that Trustee Crocker said. It's not fair. So thank you for that.
Right, and just so the audience knows, the board has discussed this at length, and the length part is because it's a very complex problem, and if we could solve it with money, if we could solve it with human resources, if we could solve it, we would. And unfortunately, it has many moving parts, and so as Trustee Crocker said, our staff are working diligently, very hard, trying to, create a miracle. And the board, I think all of us, I think we're all united in our absolute frustration and our empathy for what is happening with students and parents. And so I've been on this board a long time, and it is one of the issues that is most frustrating because we really don't have as much control of it as we would like. So just know that it's on everybody's first to-do list in the morning, and our staff are working extremely hard to find solutions so that we can solve it. It is absolutely, we're right, it's just unfair and just unacceptable. Trustee Andrews.
Through you, Madam Chair. In light of the Peel Principal and Vice Principal's Day, this letter I received, and it's a full-paged typed letter about a principal in one of my schools. And we have many great principals in all of our schools, but it's not very often that they get recognized. So I just want to share a short part of this letter, which kind of says it all for our principals and our staff. Scott Moody, you are a truly awesome principal. Under your leadership, together with your skilled teachers, you have had a powerful impact on the future and life of our son. It is my belief that the principal is the key component in the development of a good school. When you have a great principal, you find great teachers who stay at that school, work hard, and strive for excellence. Thank you for being a great principal. So I just wanted to share that because it's not very often that we share and we get good news about the principals in our schools.
Yeah, and it's been a difficult start, so we're always welcome that kind of letter. What school is he at?
Williams Parkway.
Williams Parkway.
Senior public school, yeah. Pardon?
You got to thank you. There you go. Trustee Lawton, question or comment?
Thank you, Chair McDougall. Thank you. I also would like to echo Trustee Crocker's comments. He and Trustee Williams and I share a few schools together, and we have been struggling. I wanted to say how grateful I am to the parents who call and to the parents who are being very patient and they're patient enough to listen when I try to explain to them something that is not explainable. I'm also grateful certainly to the administrators, the teachers, everybody that stays behind and waits with the children and plays games with them, and they do all kinds of stuff. I'm very grateful that the heat has subsided for many reasons, but particularly for those kids that were sitting in hallways waiting. And I think, as with everyone else in this room, we're just anxious for this to get sorted out, and it will. We just all need to work together, keep working together. It'll get figured out. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too would like to echo Trustee Crocker's a day in the life of a teacher, a student, parents, custodians, bus driver. That one day, that was a great way to share that story, and it resonated for all of us, I think. I want to share a happy story as well about a school that isn't even my school. But it's something, because I'm really strong follower in social media. On a Twitter account, I read this amazing story about Sunnyview Public School in Brampton. Tell me it's in Brampton, right?
Yes.
Brampton. And this tweet was about how the principal and the vice principal had sent home a Sinner Voice message to every new student's parent to that school. And that the message was, welcome to our school. And I would just like to say that's how you welcome families into the fold. That's an amazing message. I could imagine those children on their very first day at a new school, hardly know anybody, and parents wondering if their children are okay. And that message, when those parents got home from that principal and vice principal, was welcome to our school. You're welcome here anytime. Come and visit us. Join in your children's education. It was just such a magical invitation to help your children be successful. And I love those stories. And the more of those I hear, the more I'd like to share. This one I'd like to share as well, Madam Chair. Tony Pontes Public School is soon to have its own building, soon to be open. We were there last week for a walkthrough. We have one more walkthrough before the school will actually be finished. Tony Pontes Public School, as most people would recall, is housed at Countryside Village, but that school needs its other half of the school now for their increased enrollment and operation, and after reorg, they will get that school back. Enrollment now, Madam Chair, is almost 400 students. This is a school, you recall, that was originally going to be 850 pupil places, and the ministry got it back to 650, which we, and through Randy Wright's department, would have fought to say that's short-sighted. We're going to need all of those spaces, and soon we will be at the cap of 650 at the school and asking for an addition or a new school. But the school's namesake visited Tony Pontes Public School yesterday, and he is like a rock star. Do not go with him to these things. You won't get a cup of coffee or tea, but he was wonderful. He will be visiting again on Monday, October 15th with Superintendent Logue and myself, when that is the opening day of the new building. So those 400 children will be crossing some ribbon, symbolically entering their new school for the first time. But if you get a chance to go to Tony Pontes Public School, it is a magnificent piece of property, thanks to our controller, Wright, and it is beautiful, and we can't wait for it to be opened, and there's excitement in the air. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, exactly. If the buses show up.
No negative story.
Trustee Nurse. Okay, all right. Speaking of schools, I am absolutely honored to have a school named for me. And when I go to visit my school, it's surreal. It really is, as you park and walk into the school. But I love the kids, because as I go around the school, they'll look like, I'll be introduced, and the kids are just great. And they look at me and they say, I thought you were dead. So it's not quite as welcoming, but I understand. Anyway, questions from the public? Yes, Mrs. Soplet. Yes, and in fact, I didn't say my school name. Actually, I said it was named for me. I didn't say the actual school. But having said that, I'll put $1 in the can, but so does Trustee Andrews, Trustee Lawton, and Trustee, did you say a school? Trustee Cameron. And on that side, who talked about schools? Come on, fess up. Fess up. All right. Who did? Anyway, yeah, that's it. Everybody owes $1 to the United Way. That campaign is about to kick off soon anyway. Mrs. Soplet, sorry that we are otherwise.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I have a two-part question. The first part of the question is, do you know that my grandfather had a school named after him when he was 21 years old?
Wow, okay.
He was in Newfoundland, and it was the Sergeant Thomas Ricketts public school, and it was the first school that was built in Seal Cove on the North Shore of Newfoundland.
Thank you for that information. I think you've told me that once before, but it's still worth talking about.
So my question is that November 11, 2018 marks 100 years since the armistice that ended the Great War, World War I. And the question is, through its system, what will Peel District School Board do to create a special emphasis on Remembrance Day observances this year in 2018?
Well, I'll take that under advisement. To be perfectly honest with you, I was unaware that that is 100, but I'm quite sure that our staff, someone has made sure that we are aware of that, and that that message will be going out to our schools. As you know, our schools do an incredible job of recognizing all of our military and those that have come together to defend our country over the years. It is more honorable and respectful than anything that I ever experienced when I was in the Peel District School Board back when the wheel was developed. But we do an excellent job, so I can absolutely assure you that that will not go unnoticed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Terrific. Seeing none, then can we adoption of the in-committee report? Trustee DeGroob, Trustee Williams. All those in favor? Carried. And adjournment. Trustee B. McDonald and Trustee Cameron will second. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.